And we're live.
Nice.
Yes.
Hey, we did it.
Yeah.
We're
We're
live.
doing okay, yeah. I was doing
All
okay.
right.
Woo. Oh, hey,
We did it.
hello. Take two. That was stressful. I'm only joking. Right.
You're just
okay. Hey, how's
fashionably
it
late.
going?
It's fine.
That's right.
It's always, it never goes straightforward. It's never straightforward. Hey guys, how's it going? Hello, take two. Finally, we're all here. How's it going? As you know, I am Barb. Hopefully, you're joining me for this author roundtable, the very first of 4 in August, which I'm very excited about. And I do have some lovely indie authors with me tonight to have a chat about all things writing, books, all that good stuff. So what I want to do is just go around the chat then, and just if you want to introduce yourself and let us know about your recent releases or any books that you want to talk about, and just give us a wee bit of info on yourselves then. So just start with Joshua, if that's okay.
Oh boy. Well, I've got them prepared right here. Luckily, I knew this moment would come. So I'm the author of the Sibling Sons series, Dance of the Sibling Sons. The first book is An Ocean of Others, and recently I just published 2 months ago To Burn All Belief, the sequel. So these are basically D&D inspired epic fantasy about weird creatures that do illusion magic and a band of mercenaries who kind of have to hunt them without really knowing what's going on. It's a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay. NJ, as I call you, NJ.
NJ or Nick, whichever one is fine. It's still weird being called by my initials, but okay, we can do either one. So yeah, sure. I conveniently also have my book right here. So I'm NJ Alexander, author of the Echoes of Oniro series, and my debut novel is Fogbound. Came out in 2023. And it stars a history teacher who is under, I should say it's an epic fantasy novel, and it stars a history teacher who is under some unfortunate mind control from a long dead legendary hero. And then he is forced into war and he must do battle for both his homeland and his own mind. So that is Fogbound.
Wow. That's class. I love that. I love that. That's so good.
My little 20-second thing.
Wow, brilliant. Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Oh, me?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Rachel, and I write under R.A. Sandpiper because, gender neutrality. And I also have my book here. I feel like I'm always bad with like the camera flipping, but yeah, it's Pocket of Lies. Came out 2 months ago today, and that's my debut. And I'm terrible about talking about what it is in any kind of concise way, but it's a high fantasy, I'd say, rather than epic fantasy, and it's about a thief, and it's kind of a series of unfortunate events, I suppose. It's kind of been described as grimdark light, and and it has elements of romantasy, but I'd say that more comes through in the second one. But essentially, it's about a thief who picks the wrong targets, and then things just keep getting worse in new and creative ways. That's what the book's about. Yeah.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Sounds amazing. Well, I've read them all, to be fair. And I think you all know that I love all of them, don't you? Every single one. I'm not one of these people, though, I like to be critical, but I also enjoy what I read. So, I try not to be too critical, but yeah, I'm having the time of my life at the moment, to be fair. It's pretty cool. So amazing. Love to just ask you quickly, just pick your brains on what made you want to write, and is this all you do, or do you work as well alongside, and what do you see for yourself? What is the end goal, or what is the goal for you, basically, as well?
You want me to go first again?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I got into writing, I guess, in 2018 is when I started writing An Ocean of Others. And it basically started as a series of notes that I was just taking while playing a D&D campaign. And I was just like, well, I really enjoy writing. And this was going to be a practice book for me. So I was like, I'll just take all these notes, turn them into an actual story. And then I just kept doing like, what would the next step be? What would the next step be? Hire a cover artist, hire an editor, take a self-publishing class. And like before I knew it, I had a book on my hands, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're publishing this. And yeah, like I feel like I started because I had like this ideal story that's in my head that it's just like my grand master plan story, and I was just not good enough to write that yet. And it's one of those things where it's like you have this story, and when you start writing it, it will probably not be as good as you imagined it to be when you were 13 years old or whatever. So yeah, that's how I sort of got into writing. And my plans, I guess, are to just keep writing until I retire, I guess. I just really enjoy writing so much. It's definitely my favorite hobby. I don't think I'm ever gonna like hit it big and be Brandon Sanderson huge or anything like that. I think that's a little too much to hope for, but as long as a couple people read my books and enjoy them, I'm happy with that. Yeah. And I guess other than writing, I do software engineering full time, so that pays for all the books. And then yeah, spend way too much time playing Elden Ring, especially recently.
That's right.
I loves that.
Yeah.
Loves it. Yeah.
I know we're chatting with an Elden Ring celebrity here. I don't know if you all know that.
I don't know if I would say that.
Tell me more.
So yeah, I've been doing a challenge run where I don't level up my character at all and just try and beat the hardest bosses in the game. And I yesterday actually
I don't know how you're
finished
doing this.
Yeah, I just finished the run yesterday.
Oh my god!
The final boss took me 587 attempts.
You have greater strength than I, that's for sure.
That's crazy.
Harder than writing a book.
Like,
I played it.
You finished it.
Oh yeah,
I played it for the first time a week ago and just instantly died like 5 times the first boss.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't even want to think about 587 attempts.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the games are
How long
challenging,
does it
but
take?
they're fair. They're fun.
How long did it take, Joshua?
How long? So the overall playthrough took 275 hours, but this boss took 20 hours.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair, by far he was like the hardest. The second hardest was 120 deaths or something like that. So yeah, 5 times harder than all the rest.
Oh my god.
Question is, will you try it again?
Oh, I think I could do it now, like 5 times in a row.
Oh, I already
Once you learn
taunted
it, you
him
get
about
it.
doing it again because
Yeah.
he was on live when he did it and I missed it. So I was like, well, now I have to see it live. So you got to do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanna
Do
see
you
it
Start a
stream-
character right now.
Do you stream on Twitch then? Is that
I stream on YouTube and X, Twitter,
Oh.
whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I did try streaming on Twitch, but the way the streaming works is like I'm using my single bandwidth to stream to all 3 locations, and if I choose 3, all 3 of them look terrible. But if I do 2, they all look passable. So I just picked Twitter because I have, I don't know, a couple thousand followers on there, and
Well,
YouTube
drop
just
us your
because I already
links
have an
in
account.
when you're going on. Yeah, drop the links in whenever you're going on next.
Sure.
We'll be like, hey, how long is it going to take this time?
Yeah, right?
Oh, sounds fun though. Sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Always a
Yeah.
good time.
That's good. And Nick, what about yourself then?
All right. So let's see. I don't want to say I've been writing all my life because that's a lie, but I wrote little short stories when I was a kid, always dreamed of writing a book. The story behind how Fogbound became Fogbound is way too long for an informal chat, so we're not going to go into that. But I would say I was first inspired to write a book. This is like a really cliche answer, but I read The Hobbit when I was very young, probably about 10 or 11. Then I read The Lord of the Rings a couple years after. And that's what really inspired me to do it. I'm sure that is not I'm sure it's a pretty common answer for a lot of people, but it's that's my story. I get like Josh, I work full time as well. Don't tell my boss that I'm here when I should be working, but I work full time. So writing is not my career. Maybe it will be someday, but as of right now, I think I'm going to echo what Josh said. I think all of us will echo it too, as long as, people read, no matter how many it is or how few it is. If there's people who read and like my books, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Long term, you guys, you're happy to keep going then, basically. You're happy to
yeah. I mean, hey, this little series is going to have 4 of them. So I got to at least keep going that long. So I have some ideas for what's going to come after, but for the most part, I'm focusing on getting this series done. That'll be what's next.
Yeah. Don't go too long term. Almost just one book at a time. Almost. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically already written. I just have to do the things to like get them ready to put them out in the world.
I'm jealous. I'm like
And they'll
0
have
books
to
ahead.
I mean, I'm sure if I look at them now, I'll have to do a lot of rewriting, but I did a lot of rewriting in like 2020, 2021. So I think a lot of it is still pretty accurate, but you know, I gotta go back and make sure it's still passable and ready to actually publish and do everything else that's required to get another book out in the world, which is quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I have absolutely no idea what goes on in the background. I just see a book come in and recommended, and I read it, you know, I buy it and then I read it, you know. So you have no idea as a reader exactly what's going on behind.
I'll put it succinctly. Writing the book is the easy part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, that's good. Well, that's good to know that there's more coming.
Yes, there will be more.
World's biggest fan here. Everybody, all of you.
See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I love this. Thank you. It makes me feel great. Thank you so much.
No, don't be silly. It's fine. Rachel, yourself then. Please tell us there's more coming, please.
Yeah, there's definitely more coming.
Yay!
Book 2's written. It's just at proofreading stage now. So it's written, edited, all the stuff. That comes out in less than 2 months now.
Nice.
So I guess I kind of did a hold back and then do kind of 2 at once. But it's a trilogy, and I've read, I've written, obviously one's out. The second one comes out in October. There might be a little secret project potentially coming out soon after that, but it's not the third book. And then the third book, I've written half of a first draft. So how long is a piece of string with book 3? I think a little bit. Hoping for spring 2025, but we will see. So I guess the wider question, the inspiration question, I don't think I have a fun, nice answer to this question, but yeah, I mean, same as Josh, I started writing a book in 2018 that is not A Pocket of Lies. That was a book that is literally in one of the shelves down here and never comes out, and I don't actually ever want to read it again. But it was a young adult dystopian book, and that will just stay on the shelf forever. I think it was 2020, 2021 that I started writing A Pocket of Lies. And I don't really know distinctly what my writing inspiration was. I don't think I was one of those people that was always writing short stories as a kid. Did it sometimes, but it wasn't my growing up passion. But I think I just sort of fell into it and realized it was something I could do. And I think you have that thing of it feels like a mountain, and then you write the end on one book and you realize it's actually, I can do this. So I think I just realized I could do it, and I enjoyed doing it, so just kept going. So that's I guess the backstory. And I should have a full-time job. I definitely can't support myself through my writing, but I currently don't. So I quit my full-time job in March to spend sort of 6 months, because I had quite a highly stressful semi-law enforcement government job for a few years, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I quit that job and having a bit of a break, kind of using the time to spend more time writing and editing. But I live in London, so I can't afford to do it for very much longer. So I'm going to be getting a new job, and I guess the boo government I just saw in the chat, and accurate.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so I can't really afford to keep going with this no full-time job situation. But yeah, and then how long will I keep writing? Well, definitely this series will 100% come out. And I've got an idea for a second duology. And then I think after that point, that'll probably be 3 or 4 years. And I might just do a little reassessment as to, I think the only thing with the sort of fan situation is how much I write, not whether I write. I think if it all really kicks off, then I'll probably keep going at a higher frequency. And then if it fizzles to nothing, then it might just be a book every few years when I have a passion project. So I think that's probably the answer to that question.
Brilliant. And just on that note then, Rachel, we have a Scott with us. Hello, Scott.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Scott.
Thank you. I think this is kind of the new age equivalent of the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. But hey, sorry I'm late. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm
good?
doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm very sorry for the
no apology needed. Absolutely none whatsoever. Don't worry
Thank
about
you
it.
so much.
We're just having a chat, Scott, about ourselves, really. Just if you want to introduce yourself and just have a chat about the book. And then I was just sort of asking how you get into writing, and what do you feel long term is there for you? If you wanted to give us an
Yeah,
idea.
sure. So yeah, my name is Scott Palmer. I write epic fantasy. My first book, A Memory of Song, just came out this May, and Prelude novella came out shortly after, just the past July, the end of July here. Um, Again, it's just it's like dark epic fantasy in the vein of Braveheart and A Game of Thrones, and kind of like that old kind of, I call it, this wooden fantasy is what I've been calling it, because instead of the your stone castle walls you're used to, it's more like wooden palisades and kind of dark ages kind of stuff, and we'll kind of progress through, and that kind of hidden world, apocalyptic kind of feel from Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, old worlds. So that's the kind of stuff I love: lore, history. I'm currently writing the second book, about 100,000 words into that. So that's where I'm at right now with everything.
Brilliant. And so there's definitely more to come.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
the only thing I want everyone to say is, yes, Barbara, there is lots more to come.
Yeah. Well, I think that's I think like with writing fantasy, I think that's kind of, it's almost expected, isn't it? Like you've kind of got to do a series, and if you want to do a standalone, you can pull the Joe Abercrombie, maybe release your series first, and then you might be able to get away with a couple standalones. But I mean, when it comes to epic fantasy, I think people are kind of expecting a big
Yeah.
sprawling story. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Not
look
that
at
it hasn't been done before in a
Yeah,
compact
definitely.
nature, but
Yeah, because you have the likes of your Joe Abercrombie, Brandon Sanderson, Robin
Yeah.
Hall.
Brandy Sandy. Wow.
Brandy
Brandy
Sandy,
Sandy.
yeah, that's what we call him in the traditional published Brandy Sandy. And yeah, I mean, there's so many. Look at the Wheel of Time as well. Like, it's massive.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
massive, so for sure. And that's definitely what we want, is at least 18 book series from here on out.
18. Yeah.
That's really hard for us.
And I don't know about 18. Divide that by like 3 or 4, and
Yeah.
that's what you'll get from me.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
want you to keep writing and sending me them for proofreading, and I'm like, yay.
Yeah, there is a true skill for those really sprawling ones like your Malazans and your Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
that is an undertaking. There's
Yeah.
a lot of information that goes into making those kind of things work. So I commend those people. I'm not quite there in my author career. Want to do mine's planned to be four books with kind of 3 prelude novellas. Oh, here's my cat, by the way.
Hello.
Nice.
Appearance.
Welcome.
It's kind of like a compact kind of thing, and my cat agrees. She's like, don't go too far in yet.
Yep.
You still need
Yeah.
to give
No
me
need to
time
do
to cuddle.
that.
Is she your editor, the cat?
Yeah, oh, of course.
Yep.
Proofreader, everything,
Nice.
Yes.
Get them to work. Start them early.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
That sort of leads me on to a question that I've always wanted to ask, I think. So you start with your first book, and you know that you're maybe going to write a series. Do you know from the first book what the story's going to be by book 3, or does a lot of it come where you just sort of, right, I'll write the first book and then I'll work out something for the second book, and then I'll work out do you know what I'm trying to say? How do you write it? And do you write it knowing that by third book this is what's going to happen, or does it just happen naturally and as you're writing it?
That's that age-old question of
Yep.
plotzers versus pantsers, right?
Yeah, it's going to be different depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have their own
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me
It was
personally, I'm a
definitely
bit of
more
a hybrid plotter pantser. So
Same.
I'll plot out the broad strokes and let the things come up. And for me, the sequel is just picking up off some of the threads that I was able to kind of leave hanging from earlier books. What about you guys?
Yeah,
Very
I would
similar.
say same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
yeah, go
with my sorry, I was just going to say, I think with my trilogy, I outlined the first one in full, and then I had bullet points for books 2 and 3, and I had an idea of the overall ending of the series, but exactly how I was going to get there, that was a little bit questionable, and I wouldn't say it still is, but it's fine. It's coming together.
It becomes more clear, right? That's the fun, I think, is as the writer. I mean, as the reader, you don't know what's going to happen, but I think as the
No.
writer, it's fun to leave a little bit of that ambiguity.
That's where I think because I'm a meticulous plotter, right? I know literally everything down to the last minute detail that's going to happen. Even I've already told you all. I've written them all already, but even before that was the case, I knew literally everything that was going to happen. So I think when you do that, you can purposely leave little breadcrumbs, leave little things in the first book, second book that you're like, if someone picks up on that,
Yeah.
they are in for something special later on. There's definitely a few of those in Fogbound if you pick up on them.
And I think that's like the best because see, that's kind of what we're trying to do as pantsers, except you've actually got it written down. We have to try to remember it. Or track it down later on and be like, what did I say about that? I mean, I'm getting better at that, but it's definitely like it's when I'm doing my editing now, I'm taking meticulous notes like, what did I say about this and that? So, you know, I definitely, it's one of those, I think as I wrote 2 books before I wrote the one that I published, but I'm still, I mean, pretty early on in my career. So I'm definitely open to expanding and changing. I mean, book 2 was definitely plotted a lot more than book 1. So I think, you know, it's important to obviously try to evolve as well and find a process that works for you.
I think the trick is to throw in a really ambiguous line of dialogue into book 1 and then weave it into something that makes it seem like you planned it the whole time. Just chuck in a couple of red herrings and you can make some of them actually like pan out to meaning something.
I like it. I like it. Yep.
I mean, it's just such an exciting time to be part of this community. It just really is. I mean, it sounds just so exciting for all you guys as well with what's coming up with other projects and you know, further books and things. It's just really exciting, I think, in my opinion.
It is an exciting time. It's a good time to be in the indie space, that's for sure.
It is. I love how we can communicate so easy like this. Like it's excellent.
Do you know what I work for a lot of other I work for 4 or 5 other traditional published publishers, obviously, and I would do a lot of reviewing on a lot of different bits and bobs for them, and I can't get to speak to an author the way I can get to speak to you guys. I read the book and I review it, and that's as far as it goes. I don't even know sometimes where the review goes. It just goes to a space, and then I never hear anything more about it, if that makes sense, you know. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm on X Twitter every day. I'm chatting to you guys every, you know, you get to know the same people, you know, in the same space, in the indie space, and it just feels so much more welcoming, and just everyone just seems so much more appreciative, and it's just, I wish we could do more, because we're only 1 person or 2 people or 3 people. Do you know what I mean? I wish we could do more, but you know, like, it is what it is. At least we get to chat here tonight.
Yeah. I mean, we indie authors, we appreciate anything that booktubers, bloggers, anybody who picks up, reviews, talks about our books. We appreciate every single one. I know whenever I'm tagged in something, I read it. I always make sure to thank the person, because, you know, like Scott said, I'm still just starting out too. Fogbound is my debut, so I'm still very new and very green, and I don't know, I'm just very appreciative for any sort of recognition or anything that comes from it.
And Nick, I think it's great too, because people are so okay with us being new. I'm just very new. Right. Like, okay, listen, guys. Like, I mean, I made a couple mistakes, a couple small, like, silly mistakes in my release, and you just kind of be open and honest with the community. Be like, guys, I messed this up. My paperback is going to be 2 days late. And
that's how I found you.
Is that right?
That's how I found you, Scott, because that Amazon account snafu that happened. That's how I found out about you.
See, the funny thing about that is I don't even know what I messed up on that one.
It's a crafty marketing technique, actually.
Exactly. That's what I was actually talking, Josh. I was talking with some of my other author friends, and that's exactly what they said. They're like, Scott, put this on Twitter and turn this into a positive.
Yeah.
Just try to reach as many people as you can and just chat with the community and get people's feedback, and just kind of, and it was also really it was really heartwarming too, because I was freaking out, and just knowing that there was that, like, a bunch of people there to fall back on and to lean on was really, really nice too, you know. And like that, like you said, Barb, that's a testament to the community here, that you can just reach out and people reach back. You know, and give you a pat on the back and say, it's okay, buddy.
It's all going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would pat you in the back. I am sort of. I guess X Twitter, I mean, I still call it Twitter. I'll always, it's force of habit now, but I feel as if, do you guys feel as if X Twitter is the biggest platform for your sort of visibility and that, or, you know, is Instagram on a par with it, or what would you think is the best social media sort of for you guys? Or
always approach it from the just from the mindset of like the best one is whichever one you find yourself naturally using, because you're just going to be more active there. And
Yeah.
so like I've tried TikTok and Threads. Well, I didn't really try Threads all that much. I made like one post and then kind of forgot about it. I hear it's doing better now though. Tried Instagram, Facebook. I feel like I missed the train on Facebook, but yeah, I don't know. They just didn't really click with me. Whereas on X, I just feel like I can just post whatever I feel like. I've fine-tuned my algorithm, I feel like, better than the other places, so I'm seeing more interesting things there. And so yeah, I don't know, I've definitely had more success there than anywhere else, but I've heard TikTok is kind of blowing up still.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think for me, Twitter, X, or that's still my main platform. Although you should come back to Threads. We're having a good time on Threads. I have found some pretty good success on Threads too. I think a lot of people that I have gotten to know over Twitter over the past couple of years started to migrate over to Threads, because we all know Twitter is a bleep show right now. So they started to migrate over there. So that's where I can keep in contact with those people. So I'm kind of splitting the duty. Like I almost cross post everything between Twitter and Threads. I haven't gotten into Bookstagram or TikTok yet. It's something I've really hesitant about because I don't know. I'm just like not that kind of guy to like keep making videos and video content. So I feel like I would just make one video, then go inactive for 5 months. And that's not the way to grow a platform.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, wait, holy crap. Richard, NickTok?
NickTok,
okay,
that's
hold on. Hold on.
Laptop? No way.
Hold on. How did I never think of that? It's literally my name.
Oh my goodness, that should be your brand.
Oh, that's good. Okay, hold on. All right, I guess I'm going on TikTok tomorrow. All right.
Oh no way. Laptop? That is brilliant.
That's
They've,
good.
all the platforms have a different kind of vibe, is what I've noticed. Like I've kind of dipped my toes into each of them just to kind of feel, and I've definitely noticed it's like you said, you just kind of got to find, I think, what vibe suits you the best. Like, and then it's pretty hard. It would be basically a full-time job to be active on every single one of them. So the advice I was always given was to, pick 2 or 3 that really suit you, figure them out, as Josh said, figure out the algorithm, figure out how it works specifically for you, and then just keep at it and try to have fun with it. Obviously, if it becomes monotonous and just unfun, like what's the point of it? Because it is a social media, so we do want to try to obviously engage, and that's kind of the point of it, I guess, right? To reach readers, not just shove our books in their face, but to talk to them.
Yeah.
So I kind of keep that in mind as well. But I've had really good luck with Instagram and X, are the kind of the 2 that I stick to. And like I said, it's just kind of figure out the vibe, and if it works for you. Like you said, Nick, if you're not really the video kind of guy, I don't do videos, but I do like pretty pictures.
Okay.
So
Pretty pictures.
Bookstagram works for me in that way, because I can take pretty pictures of my books, or my wife will take some pretty pictures of nature, and with books.
With the book in there. Yep.
Of course. And like I said, it's just kind of the nature thing kind of fits with the theme of my book, and I just kind of keep, like you said, you are your brand as an indie author. So I try to always make sure everything that I'm putting out there is kind of is coming from me as the author, but also me as the person. You know what I mean? So it's not just strictly business, but just
Well, Scott, I have to let you know, if you are taking pictures in nature and you do have your book in some fog, I have to claim royalty on that.
Okay.
So anything involving fog comes to me. So I just gotta let you know.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll keep that in mind.
Oh dear.
Rachel, you mentioned just before we got started that you were making a TikTok. Are you more active on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm going to be the black sheep here and say I do actually use TikTok as my primary way of reaching readers. I just hit 3,000 followers on TikTok, which is
fantastic.
Mostly from 2 videos going semi-viral. But for me, X is where I talk to authors. It's like an author community primarily, and people that buy my books on there tend to just be other authors supporting me. So no, I think it's really good for like the social aspects and for like talking to people and interacting with people. I really like X, but for reaching readers, it's TikTok. I'm trying to do Bookstagram, but the problem I have with Bookstagram is I think when you post something, it only really shows it to the people that already follow you. So it's very difficult to notice any traction. So I just get like 40 likes on everything I post, and then it stops. Whereas on TikTok, the kind of way it works is you post something and it automatically tests your post against 50 to 200 random people. So you already get that. And then if the content's engaging or whatever it is that the algorithm is looking for, then it increases and increases. But you get instant visibility from strangers. And I think it's the only platform where you get that stranger look at straight away. But it is also time intensive. And I try to post 3 or 4 times a week. And sometimes I just sit and look at my phone and think, what am I going to talk about? Because I definitely notice that like videos that have my face on it, or just generally any videos that have your face on it rather than just being like photos of your book on TikTok, tend to do better. So you like the talking heads of just you chatting about something that's vaguely book related seems to be the way it's worked for me. But I think I'm talking from a position where TikTok is largely my reader base anyway, because I think I'm trying to appeal to myself, which is like probably a woman in their 20s or 30s. Is the primary, like, I guess, demographic that my book appeals to, because there is a romanticy side to it. And I think it's really hot on BookTok to talk about that kind of thing at the moment. So I don't know whether you'd have the same level of traction if you were talking in a more like traditional fantasy sense. But I mean, I like TikTok. It's worked well for me so far.
When you make videos, I have a question. So are you mostly talking about your book, or are you maybe talking like other books in the industry? What have been the most successful videos for you?
So I had one video that got 240,000 views.
Whoa.
And another one that's 150,000 views. And interestingly, both of them were kind of me shedding light on generally the book space, and then talking about my book as an example of that. So one of them was talking about like the average sales of a self-published author, which is like 90% of self-published books sell less than 100 copies in their entire lifetime. I was kind of just talking about how crazy that is as a statistic, and how little it is to be sort of an above average self-published author. And I talked about how at that point, my book wasn't out at that point, and it had 7 pre-orders. So I was like, I'm 7% of the way there. So that was the first one that sort of blew up. And then there was like I ended up getting sort of like 50 pre-orders because people on BookTok were like, oh, I'll pre-order it. So it's never been directly, this is now for my book. It's kind of been, let's talk about what the nature of publishing in 2024 and how it's worked for me or not worked for me. And then sometimes people decide to support me or buy a copy. So
sure. Yeah. Well, it's good to know. Thanks. Good info.
Yeah, that sort of endearing stuff is just so great. Like everybody loves that. And like, if you can get that and you can slide your book in with that, I mean, that's absolutely genius.
Yeah, great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Taking notes.
Congratulations. That's great numbers, Rachel. That's really good numbers, for your fertility. That's amazing,
people like earnestness.
And what's really funny about that too? So this is really stupid. My best performing, when my book hadn't come out yet, I was getting pre-orders. My best performing post was me tweeting, I will eat 1 Oreo for every pre-order I get. I got 32 in one day. This is my most successful marketing ploy yet.
Oh dear. People want you to do well, Nick,
I did it. To everybody watching, I did it. It took a while, but I did it.
Amazing. That's amazing.
It is. It's the endearing, and I don't want to say dumb, but that was clearly dumb, but it is the endearing stuff like that. That does
so the real question is, was it worth it?
I mean, okay, let's see. Monetarily, I think it worked out because 32 pre-orders would profit over buying 2 packs of Oreos.
That's right.
So I think you'd hope so.
As far as advertising goes,
I think ROI profit. Pretty good. Pretty good.
ROI is good on that.
Yeah. Scale wise, probably didn't work out so well for me, but ROI pretty good.
I was more thinking about your tummy.
Yeah, not great. No, not there we go. Richard's got it. Yeah, not great.
You know you very well, Nick. I mean, this is a one-man cheerleader in this comment here.
Yeah, he's great. I love Richard. He's been a big supporter of mine. I'm glad he likes Fogbound. He's great. He's got a book. He's got 2 books out actually right now,
Okay.
Price War and then a sequel that just came out. So be sure to check him out too.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few questions just in the comments here. So I'm just gonna read those out and just gonna have a quick chat about them and see what you think. Some of these comments Richard's putting on is boss bound. I mean boss bound, what?
Boss down.
Also, I saw one where he said something about Nextagram. Where's Nextagram? There.
Why am I not thinking of this stuff?
Nextagram. I mean,
Why?
seriously. Fair play. Okay,
God.
so my question: if you start a series, do you commit to finishing it even if it bombs? That's a good one.
I'll start. Yes, but maybe the length that it would be. Like if I wrote one book and it was supposed to be a 7-book series and I sold literally 1 copy of book 1, maybe I'd make it 3 books. But yeah, I think I'd have to finish it just for my own sanity. But it might not be finished in the exact way I initially envisioned it to be finished.
Okay.
I think that's a really good answer. I'm probably going to copy that. So if Fogbound did bomb, I probably would have still finished the series, but maybe it would have taken me a lot longer than I originally planned for.
Okay.
Yeah, like I probably would. I would have to finish it. It would
Yeah.
just maybe be slightly less enjoyable potentially. I mean,
Oh,
knowing
cool!
that-
Another book no one's going to read. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. But I think once you start, like as an author, like that's kind of the stuff that we learn very early on is you've got to finish stuff, right? That's one of
Yeah.
the very early things we learn as writers. So
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think any of us would be where we are right here on this call if we didn't finish what we started. So
Right.
we would probably grit our teeth and swear a lot, but more than likely finish it.
Maybe swear anyway.
Yeah, well, that's right. Maybe, yeah. There's a lot of swearing going on anyway. So
I feel like I would finish it just because a book bombed like when it came out doesn't mean it's going to bomb for like its entire lifetime. Like
That's true too.
yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Like the books are like going to be on Amazon or whatever
Forever.
until I die,
Yeah,
probably.
That's right.
So, I mean, assuming Amazon outlives me, which I expect it to.
Chances are high. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and I feel like it's a lot harder to market an incomplete series than a finished series too. Like,
Yeah.
you could put
Totally.
together an omnibus or something, and it's like all a nice one package. Do a leather bound edition on Kickstarter
Oh, I
or
can't
something.
wait for that.
Yeah.
Omnibuses sounds so much fun. I can't wait to make one.
Yeah,
Eventually.
same. Yeah. So, yeah, I think even if it seems like it bombs now, it's like that's the short view. You got to take the long view of like this thing's going to be getting you royalties like forever, and you're probably going to get more royalties if you finish the series than if you just let it sit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great point.
That's interesting. Great. Do you set yourself deadlines or writing goals for getting your books written? Anyone?
Yeah,
I think you sort of have
absolutely.
to.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you're planning on working with anybody other than yourself, like they want to be on a schedule. So like editors, cover artists, proofreaders, everybody, like you got to get the book when you say you're going to get them the book. So you're sort of setting your own deadline. Now you could do it some other way where like you just write and finish it and then like later on decide to publish it and then you just send it out to whoever whenever you can. But if you're actively writing, I think you're sort of forced into deadlines if you're working with a team.
Yeah. For me too, my writing is just at its highest when I'm doing it consistently. So I mean, just having that simple deadline of not necessarily a deadline, but the writing goal. Like you said, the second part of that question is just a daily writing goal keeps me honest, keeps my writing at the level that I want it to be, allows me to practice at the level that I want to practice at, and just keep moving things forward. Because like we said, we're writing these super long fantasy series. We don't have time to stop.
Yeah.
No,
Don't
it's
stop.
true.
Please don't stop.
No,
Don't stop,
so
won't
true.
stop.
That's right. That's right. I mean,
We're all waiting.
it's true. I mean, I think I don't write every day, but I definitely set writing goals for myself. I've talked about this on other channels too, so I won't go too long, but I tend to write a whole book within 4 to 6 weeks, and I do like multiple thousands of words a day and just get it done. Like days where I'm not working, I try to do about 10,000 words a day. Days where I work, maybe 2,000 to 3,000, depends on how I feel.
These numbers
That's-
are incomprehensible to me. I don't know what do you mean?
I wrote my last book. It's been a while since I've written a full novel, but I wrote it during NaNoWriMo, actually. I took like a week and a half off work around the Thanksgiving time. I wrote 120,000 words from November 1st to like December 10th or something.
Okay,
That's my record. That's my record.
Fast,
Yeah.
man. You've got
But
that.
that's what I do.
consciousness going, eh? Just
That's right. So basically, I'll write that much for a month and a half, then I won't write again for like 9 months.
Josh.
That's basically what I do.
Josh, he writes quicker than I write.
Yeah, somehow.
I have read in writing books about people like you, but I didn't know they existed.
I thought that was like a mythological creature.
Josh was asking me before we came on live how he watched my last vlog or my first vlog on my channel. He was like, "How do you read so fast?" It's like,
Yeah, she said she read Fogbound in one day,
I did.
and then I think
No,
you picked up
That's
Memory
wild.
of Song, and you're like, "Oh, this one's 550 pages, so
Yeah.
it'll probably take me 2 days."
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "What?"
Oh my God.
Barb, she's just eating books.
That's
Yeah.
right.
She
Yes.
just eats them.
Just to let you guys know a bit of background
Looks
about
like
me.
Nick
I
eats
have 2
Oreos.
jobs. I work full time and part time. Plus, I read, and I do a uni degree as well.
Oh my goodness!
So,
Do
So
you
what
find
you're
time
telling
to
us is
sleep
you're an
anymore?
overachiever.
well, I try my best. It doesn't always go
No,
to
you're
plan,
great.
to be fair, but reading will always be my first love. I have to say, other than my Novak, my doggy, but apart from him, it's my first love is reading.
Aw.
Love it.
Let me see. So what else have we got here? What discourse do you feel has been overdone in the author community? I don't think we need to know whether anyone thinks audiobooks are reading anymore.
Oh man.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Man.
Let's
I
not.
feel like this risks being like meta overdone because we're just gonna get like sucked into that conversation that's
Oh,
already
yeah.
overdone.
Yeah.
Sounds like a trick by
Yeah.
Richard to make us talk about discourse.
Well, Barb, I think that maybe it would be good. I think probably the biggest discourse maybe that I would see that's not really that controversial is the traditional versus indie.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you worked in the traditional industry,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
what do you think the major differences are other than just access to the authors?
It's just much more sort of strict and tighter community there. I mean, I have my main booktube channel, which is Barb's Bookland. I have now come off Indie Silo, where this is just all about indie, and it's just going to be focusedly based on indie. That's all any video is going to be, is just me reading indie recommendations, anything like that. With regards to the traditional sort of publishing side, you have to have so many followers and subscribers and such a massively strong following for a publisher to even look at you or contact you or even reply back to an email that you may have sent them. It's very, very, very hard to work with publishers, traditionally published publishers. Very, very hard indeed. And it'll never put me off because, again, I love reading and I love getting immersed in a book. I love getting into stories, whatever. I love talking about reading. I love talking about books. I love talking about authors. I love talking about everything. I just feel like on the indie side, it's just so much more welcoming and so much more sort of, it doesn't matter about your numbers. The fact of the matter is that you're just so appreciative that we're actually talking about the books or we're doing something that's going to help you. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's just that middleman. It's that middleman sort of mentality where I can't get to talk to an author. I have to talk to the publisher. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Where
of course. Yeah.
I'm sitting here with 4 of you guys with 3 other roundtables lined up for the rest of the month. And I hope I have never come across as very forward. You've all been very, very happy to come on and chat to me. There's been no, do you know what I'm saying? Where if I tried to link up with a publisher to have an author interview with, I don't know, Lucy Fox, somebody in the traditionally published sector, it just wouldn't happen. And unless you're sitting on 100k subscribers or 50,
Yeah.
do you understand what I mean? And I just feel that it's just a bit more flexible. Does that,
Like,
you know?
things can happen fast.
Yeah.
Things just you can set up a meeting with somebody. You can set up, anything you want. You could publish a book in, well, you could do it in a day if you have everything ready to go, right? Like, I mean, if Amazon's quick. So I mean, it definitely is like, I guess probably speed would be a huge thing. especially with Nick pumping out 10,000 words a day. I mean,
I don't publish as quick as that. That's for sure. But the writing's done.
But you know what I mean? Like you would,
Yeah.
if it was traditional, they wouldn't. Like, I mean, it would take so long between. It wouldn't matter what rate you were really putting it out at.
That's
I
true.
mean, you would be a long time anyways. But that's
very
kind of
true.
one of the things. Like, and if you have any readers at all, you just want to get your work out. I mean, you want to, if you're happy with it, and it's at a point where you're happy. I mean, you'd much rather just have it out there than sitting on your computer or wherever it is, you know. And
I feel sometimes too, Scott, that there's certain traditionally published authors who maybe have a 5 or 6 book deal per year, and in my opinion, it's quality over quantity as well. You know, someone's pumping out 6 books in a year. They're not everyone's going to hit. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, of course.
It couldn't be that easy to write 6 books in a year. I mean, I don't know how anyone, and just they're pumping them out left, right, and center. It's like, how do you do it? You know?
Yeah.
But that's only real difference that I notice. I mean, I love to read, so I'll always work with these, you know, with these companies and publishers, and with you guys as well. That sort of leads me on to, this is a devil's advocate sort of question. Do you guys think, I mean, would you press forward if you were picked up by a publisher? Would it be something that you would be all in for, do you think? Or, you know, are you happy status now wise, or you're just not really sure, you just haven't thought of it?
Honestly, like I'll just answer, like for me right now, I would be like, I would be confident enough to say, well, what are you going to do for me that I'm not doing myself? And I would just lay it out like that. And if they come back to me with some elaborate, well, we're going to give you the Joe Abercrombie treatment, then I'll be like, well, yes, of course. Tell me where to sign. But if they're like, we're going to put you on the back list and see how you do, then I would say, thank you. I appreciate that. But no, I'll take my chances, because from what I've seen is they will, for instance, the book that just came out this year, Silver Blood Promise, James Logan. So much money went into that, right? And that's a huge success, and rightfully so. It's a great book. James is a great guy, all of the above. But there was many other books that were probably pretty good that we just never heard of, and the authors are probably sitting on them, and they got no marketing, and that poor author never learned how to market themselves.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there with their career in the hands of somebody else, and that person just unfortunately doesn't care about them, because Silver Blood Promise is here, baby, you know. So that's kind of my stance, and it might sound bitter. I don't mean that to sound bitter, but that's just kind of my observations from the last couple of years that I've just been looking at the scene, and you know, I've made my decisions accordingly. But that's kind of what I've seen. I mean, there's certain good deals and there's bad deals. I think that comes with any career.
Yeah, I think I'd echo a similar thing. I think it would depend on what was being offered. I think if there was an offering which I felt like was too difficult of an undertaking for me to do myself, maybe something like translation isn't something that I would do myself. But if someone came in and offered a sort of hybrid deal where they would just do translation, then maybe. Or if I started writing a book which I did not know how to market at all, like wrote something in a completely different genre, which isn't maybe as easily marketable as, I feel like fantasy, there's a really big fantasy indie community. If I ever wrote some kind of like literary fiction piece or anything that was a bit trickier, I think that's the time when I would potentially look traditional. But yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
No, I agree. I think for my series right now, I'd probably keep it indie. You know, the first one was indie. I'll keep it. I'd like to, you know, retain the same cover artist, proofreader, all that. So, and if you go traditional, you know, you use their people more than likely, right? Yeah. You know, you have no say in what the cover looks like generally. So for this one, I'm a big consistency guy. So I want to get the same people who did the first one to do the rest of them if possible. In the future, I wouldn't say no to like I'd like to try the traditional process at some point. Maybe my projects after the series is done, maybe I'll try the whole getting an agent thing. Maybe I'll try it, but who knows? But for for this current series, probably stick to indie unless some ridiculous offer comes across the table that I just say, yeah, sure, go for it. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
the
I
further you
guess
get into your
probably the
series
same
too,
for
like
me.
sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
Oh,
just saying
it's all
the
good.
more books you put out, the more that makes the traditional deal even harder because you're not talking about just
Exactly.
one book they're buying now. You're talking about
2,
multiple.
3, 4.
But sorry, Josh, go ahead, answer. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. Oh, the latency on the internet. Can't deal with it. Yeah, I always think of like Travis Baldry whenever this sort of question comes up, where
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Excellent. Yeah.
their book just sort of like goes viral, becomes a hit, and
Yeah.
then they get picked up
Yeah.
afterwards. And I
Yeah.
sort of feel like that's sort of the only way it would kind of happen. Like if you've sold 50 copies, no
Mm.
publisher is going to come and be like, oh, maybe we can sell another 50 copies. Let's
Yeah.
dump a couple
Yeah.
$1,000s into this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I think it would have to be after like you're already successful as a self-pub author. So
Yeah.
like right now, if they asked me, I'd probably be seriously considering it. But if I was already successful and like had my own situation and I had more control over everything, I feel like I'd be less likely to say yes. But I don't know. I doubt I'll ever be in that situation, so it's fine.
I have to say that I don't like some of the cover changes from indie to trad pub. Some of them are just awful. I mean, awful, really awful. You know, I was chatting to one of the other guys, Nick Snape, it's coming on in a couple of weeks' time, and he was saying to me that I wonder if you would agree that covers tend to sell a lot of the indie book. You know, covers are very, very important in marketing your indie book, you know, on that side of things. Would you agree with that? You know, is that something that you think of when you're first sort of marketing or writing the book? You know, is it like the cover has to be amazing, you know, has to look good, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Has to suit
Especially we're selling a lot of ebooks, right?
Yeah.
So like our main it's Kindle Unlimited and ebooks for like a large bulk of the money, and that is like when you're looking at an ebook, it's got to pop on that screen against all those other, you know.
Don't talk to me about Kindle Unlimited because I have a love affair with Kindle Unlimited, and it's just not good. It is not good. The amount of books that I have on there, honestly. I'm going on a beach trip for a week next week.
Barb, just go on and flip through them every once in a while, and you're doing everybody.
Yeah, give everybody some money. Flip through
them. Yeah, no, that's cool. I was chatting to him about it recently, and it just sort of I'd asked him, you know, what does sort of sell your books, you know, what is something that can help sell your books, and he'd said that the cover was visibility on the cover was something massive, you know. So just was if you agreed with that, but that's good. That's cool. Some of the covers are unreal though.
The cover's a piece of the puzzle, right? I think it's a combination of many different things, but the cover's definitely one of the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more then. Other than your own, what's one indie book you'd like to shout out? Richard's already said Fogbound.
I'm already here. I'm already shouting about it enough.
Neckbound. Anybody, anything? Please don't tell. Just I'm going to cover my ears because I can't take any more book recommendations right now.
My friend Sam Paisley, fellow Canadian, he's just launched a Kickstarter for his a novella's coming up, and he's doing hardcover editions of his book. Winds of Change is the first book in the Elements of Time. And I've only heard really, really, really good things about this. I haven't been able to get it myself, but everybody who reads it loves it. And that's something you want to consider. Sam Paisley, Winds of Time.
Brilliant.
Winds of Change.
Noted.
Elements of Time.
Yep. I was just saying, wait, that doesn't sound right.
Oh my guys, I give like sometimes I am just so bad with titles. I mess up title. I've messed up my own title sometimes. I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But it's like for some reason I just want to shorten it. Maybe it's the the new age brain trying to just shorten everything without my control. But
that's why mine's one word, no thought. That's all it goes into.
Yeah, that's actually why I call my book Amos a lot.
Oh, I like it. Also, like the cookie.
And just kind of just make it easy. It's a lot to type out all the time.
It is.
Yeah, I have one. So I'm part of a fantasy book indie collective. I mean, I think people here have probably heard of like the couple that are going around. You know, there's the break-ins and there's various groups, but we've kind of created our own one, which is called Secret Scribes. But one of the people in that group, his name is Dave Lawson, and he actually created the group, and he's got a lovely book coming out in October called The Envoys of War. And I actually did a developmental edit for him before I knew him through Twitter. So I edited the book and then I became friends with him. But the book is very good, and it's obviously made better from the fact that I helped edit it, obviously. But but it's the idea behind Envoys of War is that, again, it was one that started with a D&D campaign, but it's very funny. It's quite lighthearted. I feel like you might look at the cover and think it's more serious than it is, but it's kind of like a jokey heisty quest, but it's a lot of fun, and it's quite an easy read, and the banter is top. It's really good. It's really fun. So
I'm on his Dave art Lawson, list. I can't wait.
Envoys of War would highly recommend.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Noted.
For me, I mean, recommending one, I could recommend you 17 if you want, but for today's stream, I will recommend His Ragged Company by Rance Denton.
Oh,
one of the first indie books I ever read. So I will.
Title.
Yeah,
you can hardly mess that one up.
That's right. I thought, I was like, oh god, am I gonna mess this up? It is His Ragged Company, right? Yeah, it's also a genre that I don't read. Very often it's a weird Western. Mm-hmm. So it takes place in like a fictional city, I believe in Texas, and it's magic combined with guns and cowboy kind of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, it's a great book. I really love it. I mean, I knew I'd love it from the first line. It was like, I think it's something like, and there I was, the guy with a head halfway up a horse's ass or something. Like it's the very first line of the book. And I'm like, all right,
very
I'm
Tarantino.
I'm in. Yeah, it's a great indie book. One of the first ones I ever read, and I'll still recommend it to this day. It's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think mine would be The Hand of God by Yuval Kordov. So this is like the first in his trilogy, which is based in like a post-apocalyptic world. So there's like a nuclear war, but then also like demons start pouring forth from the earth and everything like that. It's super creepy and dark, but it's just so well written. And I've chatted with him a lot about it, and he's going to be finishing, I think, in December, maybe earlier than that. This year, the third book is coming out called The World to Come, and I'm so hyped for it.
Nice.
It's like one of my favorite indie series.
Okay. I would really, 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 really like to recommend one from someone who lives in Northern Ireland, in Belfast here. If anyone's watched anything or seen my Twitters, I got my first tattoo on Saturday a week ago, and my tattooist basically has written a small town horror called Elmwood. He's called NJ Morris, and I went out and bought the book. Yes, I paid for the tattoo and I also bought his book, but you like to support. And he didn't have any left in the tattoo salon because he says he'd sold out, so fair play to him. But it was absolutely fantastic, really, really good, and I would really love to recommend it. The cover is just amazing. He literally had posters all around the tattoo studio of the front cover. It's amazing. If you like small town sort of dark horror, it's not for everybody, but it's fantastic, really, really good. So
I love small town dark horror. Stephen
and
King.
he's also he's a good tattooist as well. He's not bad. So
what's the title? Did I miss that? What's it called?
Elmwood, ELM
okay.
Wood. Yeah, Elmwood. NJ Morris. Yeah. So just if you come across it, yeah, I would.
You say NJ Morris or MJ Morris?
And is it Nick? Yeah, it was Nick. N for Nick. NJ Morris.
Oh my God! Well, I have to get it now. You have the same name. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, my partner, his sister, cuts his hair, and then we realized he was a tattooist, and then I went down and he told me about the book. So yeah,
nice.
All good.
Awesome.
Right, let me say just a couple more then, because we're actually running out of time. This is really went quite fast. I've quite enjoyed myself actually.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, it's been a great time.
Let's see. Oh, so Richard's just said interested in the books as the rest of the panel. For now, I'm fanboying. My yes, okay.
I appreciate the fanboying. I do. I really do. I very much. I didn't pay Richard to say any of this, by the way.
Are you sure?
He's not
I
a
mean,
paid plug.
Wait, you don't want me to read my Fogbound plug here?
Start to feel that way.
No, it's okay. We'll keep that.
Oh, sorry. Cut that part out. Cut
You're
it.
right, cut that.
It's feeling a
This
bit
isn't
like
live, right?
It's feeling like a small town horror here. Fogbound was amazing as a non-fantasy reader. I find it very accessible. Real credit to Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have committed to finishing my series. Eventually, had some personal things come up with book 2 that drained my enthusiasm, but that's good. That's good to hear. Richard, keep going, keep going.
Keep going, Richard.
Sounds like
Oh,
I need
thank
to
you.
move. Thought about it on my TBR, brought it earlier
Appreciate
this
that.
year, but so many books.
You've paid so many people. It's actually really impressive.
Yeah.
It is really
I mean,
impressive.
Annette, we have Richard, we have how many others?
That's what the full-time job pays for. To pay these shills to come into these live chats. And just,
Drop comments. Yeah.
that's
How
right.
do these people find me?
So that's how I spend my social media budget, right? I just pay people to go into YouTube lives and talk.
I get that. For me, it's pretty partly whether I like the book concept and whether I dig the author. So definitely paid off for Fogbound. The reader that cover is always going to be the first thing that catches my eye. I mean, it's that very much talked about cover buys. People go into bookstores, go online onto Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, and a lot of people do fall into that trap of, oh, that's a pretty cover, I'm going to read
Yeah.
it, you know? So
Yeah, I don't even think it's a trap. I think it's just a subconscious thing that you associate like elements of a cover with the genre. Like, as we're talking about it being appropriate to the genre, if you see a sword, you know what kind of book it's going to be. If you see, a cartoon character, you might have a different impression of what kind of book it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's just you have to match it, otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, that's very important. Like you said, that's one of the things when you're considering a cover. You can't just get a pretty cover. You've got to make it match. You got to try to. You're coaxing in new potential readers with that.
Yeah.
I think that was a very good point.
I have to say, I recently read a book. I'll not go into what it was or author or whatever, but I recently read a book where the synopsis told us a story and it happened within a chapter and then it was never spoken about again.
Oh yeah.
And it left me with a very sour taste in my mouth, put it that way. It was not the book that I went into, if that makes sense.
Well, those are we've all struggled with blurbs, I'm sure. Do we want to talk about blurbs for a second?
We have to. It'd be longer to write a blurb than the whole freaking book.
Yeah, but you are right, Barb. It's important too, right? Like that's the second point of entry, right? And I think the lessons that I was taught was to try to capture the essence in the same way that of the covers trying to capture the essence. Don't ever try to be too specific.
Yeah.
And I think avoid that.
I think it goes back to our earlier on conversation where you guys said that it's very important to be upfront with the reader and it's very important to be honest with the reader and manage the expectations from the very start, if you know what I mean. And that did really, it left a sour taste because it was like, but I thought I was going into a book for this story and it happened within a chapter and then it just went on a completely other road and tangent that was nothing to do with anything that I'd read on the back of the book, and it was just really random, you know. It's
hard. Like it was tough coming up with comps. Like I'm sure you folks struggle with when you're trying to think of comps, like for selling it. And when I first came up with my comps, I was using Braveheart and A Game of Thrones, which are pretty bold comps. I mean, those are pretty big things. And I was like, is this the right, like if I get this wrong and people go in and they expect this and it's not that, then it's just, I've completely shot myself in the foot. But I've been lucky with, I've seen a lot of people be like, it lived up to it. It lived up, which was like a huge relief for my part. And I'm sure there's people that are like, this idiot.
Dude thinks he's George R.R. Martin. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but the whole point was trying to capture the essence. Like, I'm not saying this is Braveheart. I'm saying this is kind of like, think of Braveheart meets this, and you'll get a feel of what you're kind of in for. And if you can make the setting and the kind of emotions that those comps kind of evoke in people, if you can match that, I think it's a good thing. You're living up to what you've promised your reader, as you said, Barb.
Definitely. Yeah, it does. It goes a long way. I just think honesty and managing expectations are a big thing, you know. So just probably in any point in life, though, to be fair, not just writing, I guess. It's just,
That's
yeah.
the thing with what I've learned with writing. It applies, all these different things apply to life, you know?
Yeah.
Just, it really transfers over. It's
Definitely. 17's fine, and it said, work away. Richard sending you over a PayPal request now.
We'll talk about that after.
Annette's buzzing because every single book is on Kindle. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's funny though, because you pay your monthly fee and you get access to thousands and thousands of books. It's just what a time to be alive. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't believe we missed this. Richard here.
Timmy.
Tim.
Yeah, hi Tim.
Welcome, Tim.
Tim, let's shout out Tim's book real quick. He's just launched his book as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can sign up for ARCs right now, I'm pretty sure, right, Tim?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's live now.
I think I've already signed up, actually. I pretty much sign up for every arc that's coming out.
Well, if you can read these books in a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was saying to Josh earlier on, I just get immersed in a book and I just have to read it. I just have to be like, and then Aaron, my partner, he'd come in and be like, well, we'll go and walk Novak now. And I'm like, no, I'm reading my book. Here you go. You know, it's literally like before it stops, you go and do whatever you're doing. Make my dinner if you want, but I'm reading my book. Do you know what I mean?
I really enjoyed the live updates of you being like, oh, I got here, but now I need to work. Or, it was great.
My 2 jobs. I know, it's just, I work 2 jobs so I can buy your books. I have a thing where I get paid every Friday from my second job, and it's just sort of like gets me out of the house for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like everybody that I work with, that kind of thing. It's not too crazy or taxing. And so I gift myself 2 or 3 indie books every week, and it's just the best fun. It's just such good. It is. It's
That's
brilliant
great,
because my indie shelf is just looking amazing right now. It really is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's us at the bottom of the comments then. I think if you're happy enough, like I could probably sit and chat to you guys for a lot longer than I have. It's been fantastic to have you on, and it really does mean a lot to us too as readers to get to chat and pick your brains and things. So I really do appreciate you sort of giving up your time and coming and chatting with me and stuff. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for the invite.
And definitely keep in touch on socials. You'll know I'll be posting anyway and reading books and things. But guys, thanks in the comments for joining us. Richard, hopefully you'll be with us next week. Nick unfortunately isn't on next week.
I'm not going to be there, but
next Sunday. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on into the comments and asking the questions and stuff. And thank you. We'll say cheerio and all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.